Hello, my friends. Hey vampire, you like blood, but I want a beer. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. It was hard growing up. Mom and Dad worked dead-end jobs in a town that wasn't exactly kind to people of our color. It wasn't uncommon for us to wake up and find a house had been vandalized, hateful words plastered onto our walls with spray paint. My dad just painted over them, better to just look away. Like stickers with warm water, they came off easily, but the damage was already done. We were unwanted by almost everyone we ever talked to, an enemy decided by something we couldn't control. It would have been easy to become bitter, hate the world for the hand it dealt you, but that's not what Grandma did. We were living in a hell of our own. The house fell apart around us. My parents worked all day just to have it all go towards paying off our growing debt, and our entire lives were attacked by people we didn't even know. But Grandma took everything with a smile on her face. She made it work. My grandma practically raised me. A day never went by where I wasn't by her side. We were inseparable since birth, Mom said. The moment Grandma held me for the first time in her arms, I never let go. She was my favorite person in the world, a world full of things out to get me. She was different. She taught me to sing and dance, ugly and loud like nobody was watching. With her, every night was a special night. We would make forts out of couch cushions and spend the night in them, eating popcorn and watching movies, blocking out the world that was so rude to us. Mom and Dad both worked late, so Grandma and I had the whole house to ourselves, plenty of room to play dress up and hide and seek. The one thing I remember the most about her was her love for food. Every weekend she would have something cooking. Pies and brownies were her favorite. She said the sweetness made her happy. It made me happy too. Everything that came out of her oven was absolutely perfect. Everything had the perfect amount of flavor and sugar. She told me it was easier to understand baking than people. She was right. When I was 6, I came home with bruises and scraps all over my body. A few older kids caught me when I was walking home from the bus stop. They hurt me and called me names. Their hatred for people like me shone to everyone like flags they waved around. After a few minutes, the police came and they stopped, running away like bugs when you shine a light at them. The police came too late, though. I still remember the boys' words, burnt into my brain with cow brands. They told me I was nothing but a rat. A dirty, useless rat. I came home to Grandma on the porch with a rocking chair. Her face was worried. I was 30 minutes late. She ran straight to me once she saw me and I crumpled into her arms. She told me it would be okay, that things would get better, and I believed her. Later that week the boys went missing. They were out on their bikes playing around and they didn't come back home. Grandma and I danced and sang all through the night when I found out what happened to them. Discovered the bottom of the lake. Autopsies showed their stomachs were full of dead rats. Waterlogged and rotten, like the trash they were. The next day I woke up in one of our pillow forts without Grandma by my side. The indent in the pillow next to me looked wrong without Grandma's head to fill it. She never left without me, I thought. All of my life she's stayed by my side. I looked all around the house for her, to no avail. In the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedrooms, even the backyard. She was nowhere, disappeared into thin air, and for the first time in forever I was alone. I tried to act normal. I got myself dressed and made breakfast. Chocolate cereal and orange juice. What Grandma always made for me. I tried, but it wasn't the same. I couldn't do it. My tears dripping into the cereal bowl like raindrops on a cloudy day. I tried calling Mom and Dad, but they didn't answer. The world was ending around me and I couldn't do anything about it. Grandma found me later that day huddled underneath my bed, shaking and crying. She said she stopped by at a friend's house, though I could watch over myself for half an hour or so. She didn't leave me alone again until she went to the hospital for cancer treatment. It was in her pancreas, they said. Some abstract organ my 6-year-old brain couldn't imagine. All I knew was that it was killing my grandma, faster than I could keep up with. I went from never leaving her side to only seeing her every weekend, each time sicker and smaller than before, a shell of the person she used to be. But despite everything, she still had a smile on her face. It was a month after she went to treatment. The doctors said she was putting up a good fight. I was coloring a coloring book in her lap while she sang to me, the two of us lying in the hospital bed. Some old sitcom was playing on the TV. Grandma said she liked the white noise. I could watch you color those flowers forever. She said, a smile on her face. I just nodded. Please don't leave me, Grandma. Can I stay the night? I asked. My words lingered in the air. Grandma's eyes were closed like she was thinking. I don't know if there's room for you, sweet pea. You've gotten big lately. She tried to tickle me, but I pulled away. That's fine, I have things to do at home anyway. It wasn't fine. Oh, sweetheart. That reminds me. I left something in the basement for you. Before I had to come here. It's something special. You'll know it when you see it. What is it? You'll see, my baby. I'm sure it will make you happy, though. I looked up at her and she gave me a kiss on the cheek. I woke up in my parents' car. The sun was set and a light rain sprinkled outside. We were driving home. I must have fallen asleep in her arms. Please don't be the last time I see her. Before we got home, my parents stopped at a gas station. Stay in here, sweetie, we have to get gas. My mom kissed my cheek. Her tired hands played with my hair. Goodbye, Mama, I said, still drowsy from sleep. I watched the hours pass in that car. My parents never came back out of the gas station. In fact, nobody came out. Everyone had vanished when I wasn't looking. I was alone again. The once bustling gas station was now completely empty. The cars around me were now empty. Almost as if the world around me had been completely frozen. Lost to time, I suppose. I looked outside the windows for what seemed like hours. Not once did the clock change. 12:40. Those numbers stared at me like dead eyes, all-knowing yet not moving. Gone from this world, taken away to someplace else, somewhere far away. A silver crow flew down from the sky, its eyes red, like a sniper laser. They fixated on me. A flash of smoke appeared around the bird, and when it cleared, the crow was gone, replaced by a man in a red. He was shorter than any person I had ever seen, smaller than me even. He wore his long black hair in a tight bun, so tight that it looked like his skin would break any moment. His eyes were a deep yellow. A sickly yellow, and they looked straight at me. He moved to the side of the car and pressed his face against the window. Let me in, he mouthed. I shook my head. He brought his head back and smashed it into the window. Only a small crack was left on the window. He wasn't strong enough. Only a trickle of blood went down his forehead. The blood was black. He stepped back, pulled out a piece of paper, and used his long nails to scribble a message. You're in danger. Please let me in, I'll help you. It read, pressed against the window. I shook my head again. I heard a crash in the distance, and the man got startled and flew away. Something else is out there. I watched the crow man fly into the night. Straight up he went until he was gone and I was alone again. I was left waiting again. For my parents, for anyone who could save me from the world I had found myself in. They never came, but the butterflies did. Hundreds of butterflies, all different colors and sizes, covered the car with me in it. Once the last hole of butterflies was filled, I felt the whole car move, and then we were going up to the sky, to a place far, far away. I found the coloring book I was drawing in at the hospital. Grandma had scribbled in a page, a simple drawing of two people. A little and big one, me and her. Grandma loves you. Written in purple marker. I looked at the next page. A man with yellow eyes and black hair was plastered onto it. I closed the book, put it away and hid it somewhere I wouldn't find it again. Best to leave it for another time. I felt the car move again. I blinked and the butterflies were gone. Lost in the wind. It was day and the sky was clear. The butterflies had dropped me off at my house, right in front of the door that led to the basement. I left something in the basement for you. Before I had to come here. It's something special. You'll know it when you see it. Grandma's words echoed in my mind. The butterflies must have heard her too. I stepped out of the car, into a world I knew wasn't my own. The air smelled like pies, Grandma's pies. The basement was dark and moist, like somebody had left the door open when it was raining and now it was flooded. My wet shoes confirmed this. The water at the bottom of the basement was up to my knees. Only one dying light bulb in the middle of the room guided me. I saw two fish swim around in the water. Their orange bodies glowed and sparkled. The spots on the goldfish backs looked exactly like the ones that lived in my room when I was younger. But they died a year ago, and the goldfish that swam at my feet were almost a foot long. Nevertheless, they jumped and played at my feet, like long-lost friends. I knew when I touched them they would disappear, but I did it anyway. Sure enough, I bent down and they were gone. A box floated out from the darkness. Tony Baby printed on the top in Grandma's handwriting. I opened the box. It smelled like pie inside. A sock monkey, soaked in water, sat in the box. His button eyes looked right through me. I picked him up. He was heavier than I expected. Like a real monkey. A string came out of his back. The kind you pull and then it says something. So I pulled the string, and sure enough it spoke to me. "Give Mittens candy," he said to me in a childish monkey voice. I looked in the box behind him and found a peppermint. He had a hole in his head, where his mouth should have been, so I pushed the mint into his mouth and closed it. "Thank you." His head snapped up. "Hello, young one, I am Mittens. You fed me, so now I will help you do anything that is possible. Just give me the words and I'll start." He sat attentively. I thought for a moment. "You'll help me do anything?" "There are a few things I can't do, but we'll cross that road when we come to it." I thought more. "Can you help me make my grandma better?" I asked. "That is something I can't. Your grandma isn't the kind of sick that people like me can fix." "Oh," I said. "Why?" "Well, your grandma is a witch. That's how she made me in the first place. Magic, and a lot of it. She messed with the wrong things and now she got herself hurt. I can help you minimize her suffering, give her a better life for how long she has left. But I cannot save her. Only you can do that," he said. A crash echoed from upstairs and we both jumped. The smell of pie had grown to fill the whole room. "Looks like somebody has followed you here," the monkey said, sighing. Let's go, young one. This task is on me. I followed him up the stairs. The sound was coming from the kitchen, deep grunts followed by more crashing. I stood at the closed door with the monkey by my side. It opened on its own to reveal Grandma in the kitchen. She was making a pie. "Oh, hello, darling. I've been waiting for you." Something wasn't right. She ran up to me and tried to hug me, but I backed away. "Who are you?" I asked. "I'm your grandma, silly." But she wasn't. Everything was wrong about her. Her smile wasn't happy enough. It was forced. A fake smile for a fake woman. She wrapped her hand around my neck and squeezed. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again, my fake grandma was gone. A black hole stood in her place. The monkey snapped his fingers and it was gone again. "Banished to a world of eternal darkness. Why must it end this way?" he said. "Let's go." I changed my mind. "I think I can help your grandma now." "Is that what you want?" I couldn't believe it. "Yes." I wrapped my arms around his small body. Okay, let's go." He snapped his fingers again and we were outside my house. A hole opened up to the sewers. "Take this path in the sewers. Follow wherever the wind takes you. I can't help you on your journey, but if you are successful, I'll be on the other side with you. Hopefully, Grandma will be the too." He patted my head and disappeared, alone again. The sewer smelled worse than anything I had ever smelled before. Rats and bugs crawled all over the ground. Like little monsters, they scurried away when I shined my flashlight at them. Gone too deep into the sewer. I walked on the dry parts of the ground. Each step took me further away from my home. There wasn't anything left for me back there, though. An empty house and an empty world, nothing special about it. I turned around a corner and saw someone was waiting on the other side. A hunched-over rat dressed in cloth stood in the path. His hair crawled with spiders and his eyes were white. "Am I going the right way?" I asked. "No path is right. Just keep going," he replied, then disappeared. "Please stop leaving me." I walked for days. Along a path that never changed. The same old sewer for miles and miles. A few other rats paid me a visit, but none of them talked. All they did was stare. One of the rats had yellow eyes and black hair. He tried to follow me, but I shooed him away. Better not to take chances with things like that. The walking continued until I found the end of the tunnel. An awkward wall stationed in the middle of the path. Crude drawings of stick people were plastered all over the wall. "Stay safe" was written in big letters in the middle. I didn't feel safe. I looked up and saw a hatch in the ceiling. A smiley face was painted in yellow, covering the door. All I could do was open it. It was what I came to do. A bright light was behind the door. And so was the smell of a hospital. The door led to Grandma's hospital room. Except Grandma wasn't there. Instead, the small man was in her place. "Sit, child." He moved his arm and a chair flew through the air. It landed just in front of me. "How was your journey? I imagine you experienced some hardships," he said. "You can say that." And then he laughed. The type that rings in your ears and shakes the walls. The kind so loud, it was fake. "My name is Wade Maddock Riddle, the ruler of the underworld, but you can call me Mr. Destiny." He held out his hand for me to shake it. I declined. His fingernails were cut all the way past the skin, so deep that dried blood lingered on his fingertips. "Very well, then. I suppose I wouldn't want to shake my hand either. Let my grandma go." This caught him by surprise. "Darling, Your grandma is a thief and a murderer. The worst of the witches out there, if you ask me. She killed a group of young boys in cold blood, made them eat rats before she drowned them." He laughed again. "Honestly, she's a rat herself if you ask me. Truly nothing good about." I stopped him. "Take that back," I said. My blood was boiling. "Oh, it seems like you can't handle the truth. Very well, then. No matter what you do, your grandma is out in the real world in a coffin. She died last night when you fell asleep in her arms. I heard that you accidentally pulled some tube or something and killed her. Don't worry though, the death you gave her was much better than the one I would have given her." He chuckled. He had been getting closer with each word. His face now inches from mine. I brought my hand back and slapped him across the face. "You little..." And then he was choking, violently and long. Like a wild animal. He flopped all around the room, his choking growing louder and louder until I thought he was going to explode. Then just as I saw his body rip at the seams, his mind tear to pieces, the sock monkey tore a hole through the man's neck and dug his small body out. The man collapsed onto the floor and melted into red goo. The last thing he did was to look up at me with those rotten yellow eyes, and then they closed. His body soaked through the floor until it was gone. "He was going to kill you," Mittens said. "He was a vampire, one of the most deadly of his kind. Had a knack for killing kids, too. My guess is you would have been stuffed with rats until you exploded, just like someone else you know." "Where is Grandma?" I asked. "Somewhere far, far away. I can take you to her. Would you like that?" I nodded. "Okay then." He snapped his fingers and then I woke up in the faraway place Grandma was. I was in her arms, just like when I fell asleep in the hospital, except instead of being in the hospital we were home. "Are you awake, sweetheart? You've sure slept for a while. Would you like me to make us breakfast?" she asked. "I think I can make it today. You wait here." The first place I went to was the basement. The monkey was gone, only a paper was left in its place in the box. "Be safe," it read.